This is your holistic beekeeper from bees4life.com. Today I'm going to be talking about a few things that set us apart from other beekeepers. First off is we do not use sugar water or high fructose corn syrup. We do not run plastic frames. We only run the 4.9 millimeter bees. And the key issues to beekeeping is the right ventilation with the proper insulation of a beehive to keep your bees overwinter through the winter. Now, this is a stand that was just built. It's all raw cedar. We use a combination of 2 parts jojoba oil and 1 part wax mixed in a container. This is a quart-sized container. And all we do is we take an old sock or a rag, put it on a rag, and we just wipe it on. Like I said, this is a new stand. It's cedar. This is an old stand. This is 3 years old. We're not running the metal plates anymore. We're just wood burning the Bees for Life name right in the wood. Now, that's 3-year-old stand. You can see the difference in the boxes also. Here's a 3-year-old box. Here's a brand new box. After 3 years, it still, has its great shine to it. Keeps the beehives nice and cool still. So there's no scraping paint, getting it on the ground anymore. Just come around and wipe your hives off with a rag. It's so simple. Plus we're reusing the beeswax from the beehives. Now, talking about ventilation and insulation, a lot of times beekeepers just put their stand right on the ground. Well, you need your ventilation coming through the bottom. And if you put it on the ground, and up here in Wisconsin and northern Illinois, if it snows out, the snow builds up around and it clogs. If the snow comes on your front entranceway, you've got no ventilation. And how a beehive works is the ventilation comes through the bottom, comes up the side and out the top. If you clog these parts up with snow, what will happen is condensation will collect on the cover. This is a 6-sided hive that I've got. It's a little different than this. But it'll collect on the cover underneath and the inside and start dripping down on your bees, and it'll kill your bees off. You do not want that. So what we do is we run it up either on a stand like this. I usually run it about 12 inches off the ground. This is my demo stand for when I do beekeeping meetings, so it's a little bit higher, a little bit easier for me to show people. Or you can run a post. You can put a post right in the middle, and you just put a couple support blocks, put the post, and put the post in the ground 4 foot, and you just leave this up 12 inches off the ground. Also, when you are putting your stand up, fastening your stand, you must tip it to a forward position so all the rain sheds off also. Now we keep a little bit of space here, so if there is rain here, it does drip here also. So that works out very well. Now, another thing is what sets us aside is on our boxes, we run, this is a standard 10 frame box. We only run 9 frames in our boxes. We add on an extra 3/4 inch piece, so we got another 1.5 inches. That helps it insulate through the winter times. With the snow and the cold, it helps out a lot. Now keep in mind, we only run the 4.9 millimeter bees. So we keep all our frames in box number 1 all the way to box number 5 in the honey boxes. They always are pushed tight together, and there's always equal space here and here. That's for the proper ventilation to come through. So now that you've got your stand mounted on your post or on your stand like this, some sort of system that you come up so the wind can still blow through and no snow can collect. After this is fastened, you've got your first box on. Set it on evenly like that. This is your middle entranceway. What I always do, 4 1/4 inches, 4 1/4 inches, I use a 5/8 inch drill bit, and I run it at an upward angle position. And that's another ventilation, and it's also another entranceway for the bees to come in and out. This is very important once you get up to the honey boxes especially. So you drill that all the way through, Make it nice and flat, flush, no burrs or anything. You can just pick it off with your fingers. So we're at this point. Put the box on. You add your packaged bees with your queen in there, or you add your nook in there. And this is what we run. We run an inner cover. We have a hole slotted out for our feeder. That goes on next. And then this is your top. This is a top high feeder. If you look inside, there's a hole in there which is directly over that inner cover. And what we do is we run, there's a bottle. This is a pint-sized mason jar. You can see that black line. We only run honey, pure honey up to that point. There's 5 holes drilled in the top part of it. This is a number 57. You can go from 56 to 59 drill bit from Vermont. You can buy them at Menards. I run 5 of them in a row, and I also make a line on the bottom directly in line with those holes. So it's the same. So when you tip it over, your line goes from front to back of the hive, and it goes right in that hole in there. And what that does is, if you do get any bit of dripping, it drips on your middle frame inside your beehive, and it doesn't drip directly on your bees. So getting back to the hive, you got your inner cover on. You got to have washers in each corner. What that does, it allows all the ventilation to come through the bottom, through the sides of the box, through the center hole, and out the top cover. If you don't have these, it'll build up with moisture and kill out your bees when it's cold out. Your top cover goes like that. Your mason jar with the line and the holes are the same. Go right in like that. And then you got your top cover, and we strap it down. There's various ways of strapping your hive down. You can run holes in your stand with some little pins like this, and then strap it down like this. You can see it on this one. Or you can screw these down, screw through here to your stand and fasten it, and run them this way and strap them down. It all depends what you want to do. So getting on. Now, after you establish your bees, either your packaged bee or your nook, you want to come back 15 dry days later. If there's 10 days of rainy, wet, then it'll be 25 days later. It's got to be dry conditions for the bees to come in and out. So after your 15 days of dry, you take your cover off, you take your inner cover off. This is the most important part of beekeeping, in my opinion. Remember, we've got 9 frames, 1 and 9, and it's time, we call it, to add on another box. And what that means is, if you look, this is a frame that has no drawn out comb in it. This is just a blank frame, it's called. What we want to see all the way across the board, 1 and 9, we want to see it look like this. Drawn out comb. That's what we want to see. Now the bees always draw out from the center. They start working from the center and draw out all the frames this way. They never start over here. I've never seen it happen. They always draw out. So when you come in and you check your box, you want to see this number 1 and this number 9 frame drawn out. Just like this. If it's like this, you're good to go. It doesn't have to be, 100%. It could be almost, say 80%. So now you're at that point. Time to add on another box. Take another box on, put it right on top, push all these tight together. If you're running packaged bees, it is a good idea also to buy frames that are already drawn out that you can set in that first box. Also, when you start a second box, if you got another frame, it's an ideal situation if this center frame is drawn out already also. Just stick it right in the middle. It's great to work that way. Just push them all tight together again. You run your 5/8 hole on an angle, 4 1/4, 4 1/4 up. After you got that one drilled in, you clog this one up. So you only got an open hole in this one. You do the same thing for the third box. 15 dry days, you wait. Do the same thing, you drill a hole. Now you're getting to the honey boxes. And this is a queen excluder, and what this does is it does not allow the queen to come through to get into your upper boxes of honey. So what we do is we set that right there on top. We add on another box. I do not have 9 frames in here, but there's always 9 frames. Same thing. You drill your hole here, and this is a must. Mark it winter honey. You put all your frames tight together again with equal spacing on the side. This box here, your 4th box, is for your bees only to get them through the winter. This is not your honey to take off. Once all these frames, or 80% of the frames, are capped off, and this is what a frame looks like capped off. So it's just a film of wax over the honey. This is perfectly capped off. You are ready to add another box on. This is the tricky part. When this is full with honey, you take this one off, you set it aside. A lot of people like to store it in a storage unit and put little washers underneath and have good ventilation coming through, but sometimes a mouse will get in there, so I don't do that. I just go ahead and throw another box on with 9 frames in it again. This does not have 9 frames. Throw another box on, drill your hole, take the box that you took off that was in the 4th spot that's completely full of honey, put that on top. What this does is the bees have to pass through this box and get into this box, and they say, oh no, we don't have this filled, we need to work on this. So once they get this filled up, that is your honey. Another thing is I wanted to mention about the top hive feeder. Okay, you got your top hive feeder on. Proper ventilation coming through the bottom. If you don't run a top hive feeder, a lot of people will run an entranceway feeder. And that's a big no-no in my opinion, because if you have honey bottles sitting right on the edge here, where is my bottle? If you have a honey bottle sitting there and it's full of honey and it starts dripping, some other insects will start sensing that, whether it be a mouse, hornets, other bees. The next thing you know, they'll start sensing that there's honey and they're going to be in your hive. That's the wrong thing to do. Contain your feeding. Put it up here so it's inside your hive where only the honeybees can get at. So, and there's one more other thing I wanted to mention about this stand that I forgot to mention. These stands are 5/32 perforated screens. If an animal comes underneath, they can't rip this down. This is steel. This isn't cheap screen door material. Also, when you're building a beehive, when you start out with your first box, you've got 3 entrance ways that you can take apart. 1, 2, and 3. When you see the bees start jamming up, coming in and out, and they've got a hard time and they're hitting each other, pull this piece off. Take it out of there. Get rid of it. As you add boxes on, you're going to get more bees. So the more bees you got, the harder they are coming in and out. So say you take off number 1 and now you're on the 3rd box. And there's tons of bees coming in. Take out number 2. Just 2 screws, it pops right off. And then so on. If there's more, take off number 3. This is the way it looks like when it goes into winter time also. The front entrance looks exactly like this. All 3 pieces are back in. Sometimes I'll even reduce it even more. So it's only about that much coming out when it's January weather out here, when there's no bees coming out at all. So there's just not a lot of wind blowing through there or whatnot. So in the winter time, what we do is we run a piece of foam. It completely seals this. It's 3 inches thick. We leave a 1/4 inch by a 13 inch little gap in the front here. So you got ventilation still going through, but not the whole thing is vented then. Just a 1/4 inch by 13 in the winter time. So That's what sets us aside. This is Jeff from beesforlife.com. Thank you very much.